Hello, everyone. So to introduce myself, I am Khouroud Louisleti from Tunisia, and I'll be moderating this webinar named Power Pitch and Storytelling with the assistance of the mentor, Mr. Matteo Uguzzoni. He's an architect and a game developer who's willing to share with us today how to use the power of pitching and storytelling to conquer and retain the audience's attention and move it to your desired action. So today we're pleased to welcome our audience from many co-working spaces in different countries from this MENA region. I'm going to ask every local coordinator and representative from every co-working space to present themselves. Okay. We'll start, for example, from Egypt. Usama, I guess from Career Corner. You may introduce yourself. Okay,
I'm from Lebanon. This is Mukhtar from Lebanon.
Hi, Mukhtar.
So we're around 8 people here. We've been waiting for the seminar. So
good. Welcome everyone from Lebanon.
Thank you.
Our audience from Egypt, can you introduce yourselves, for example? Anyone, it's okay.
Hello, I think there was a misunderstanding. I'm not a co-working space, I'm just a person. So I'm Hadir from Egypt.
Oh, hi, Hadir. Welcome.
Thank you.
So from Tunisia, we have Jamaiti, Station 47. Hello. You are welcome to introduce yourself.
My name, do you hear me?
Okay.
Hello. Yes,
Hi.
my name is Kabi and I'm working for Jamaiti, and we are still waiting for participants here to start the webinar.
Okay, thank you. Welcome. Yes, we shall start. Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah.
So to introduce myself again, I'm Khouroud Louisleti from Tunisia. I'll be moderating this webinar named Power Pitch and Storytelling with the assistance of Mr. Matteo Uguzzoni. Welcome again. He's an architect and a game designer who's willing to share with us how to use the power of pitching and storytelling to conquer and retain the audience's attention and move it to your desired action. So today we're also pleased to welcome our audience from many co-workings in many countries. From Tunisia, we have Station 47, Jamaiti's co-working space in Tunis. We have Hive 12 in Sousse, Tunisia, also Inactus Enim in Monastir, and co-working Nebel from Tunisia. We also have from Lebanon, Olive Grove in Beirut, Alpha Boost in Morocco, Career Corner in Egypt, and Liwan Space in Jordan. Welcome everyone. Thank you for taking your time to join us today. Welcome, Mr. Matteo. You may start.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming. It's I'm from Italy, so seeing that there are like all these groups that are joining and from the Mediterranean area, I feel like more at home. I'm right now in the United States. It's really cold outside, so I will not like ask you what's the weather because probably I will feel so homesick. But maybe so there's a lot of you here. We're gonna have time after to talk also, so I'm gonna give you the opportunity to present yourself and like share some of the exercise that we're gonna do together. But we're gonna spend 2 hours together, and there's a lot of content that I want to share with you. So maybe we're gonna start and then we're gonna present each other later on, because like usually this workshop is 2 days long, and today we're gonna do it like in 2 hours. So you can imagine that something that is designed for being like 16 to 18 hours in 2 hours is gonna be very fast. So if everybody's okay, I think we should start. And if you have like some problem, just please wrote on the
Chat channel.
On the chat, so we can answer and fix that. Okay, I will start. I'm gonna share the screen, and then at some point I'm gonna also block that, and then we're gonna talk about it. Okay. Okay, so here we are. Let me just push play on that. Okay, so as I told you, like the Power Pitch is a workshop that we designed like almost 6 years ago, and we did that in a lot of context. And today we're gonna do like a very short version of that. My name is Matteo Uguzzoni. As Amira told you, I'm an architect, but I stopped like to work in architecture pretty early in my career. And together with Augusto, we co-founded a company. But our story is different. We started like with an idea, with a project, with a startup, you would say. And we pitched that startup everywhere. Basically, the name of the startup was Critical City and was a game. And, you know, at the beginning, you need to find allies. So you need to be able to share what the idea about this game is. So we pitched literally everywhere. And we won a lot of competition, like basically every competition that we took, we were able to win. Also, sometimes competition that were not designed for us. So it happened once that we were like we were like this competition in Rome, and we got like all the prizes, also if we didn't have a business plan. So everybody at the end of the conference came to us and say, yeah, we like your project, but can you teach us how to make the pitch that you are doing? So they were not really interested on our project. They were interested on our skill on making presentation and public speaking. So we decided, well, you know, maybe we can make a living out of it. So we pivoted and we started like a company that was focusing on that. And so we did like presentation and consultancy for a lot of brands, for big companies, to government, and then this was like the beginning of our company. Today, basically, what we're gonna do is we're gonna stay together 2 hours. We're gonna do there's gonna be a lot of theory. I'm sorry about it. Usually we have like small part of theory, and then we have exercise. Today we're gonna be a lot of theory. Then we're gonna do some exercise, but the majority of the exercise we're gonna just go through, and then you're gonna have to do it by yourself in the next weeks. So basically, we're gonna see the entire process, but you're gonna have to do it by yourself, and that's it. And I suggest you to work on your pitch today, so already in your project, so you can at the end of today and also at the end of the exercise being able like to have a skeleton, a trace of your pitch. There is a chat, a question. The voice is cutting. Hello, everyone. Okay, connecting with picture, information. Okay. Okay, let's start. This is like let's start with a story. Basically, this is like a very sad and dangerous and creepy story. And like a lot of horror movies, it starts in the basement of a very powerful corporation with an experiment. Basically, the engineer of this company were sure that they finally were able to create a tool that could make the engineer team working together with the design team, which was a task very hard to do. But they thought, oh man, we made it. We have like this powerful tool, and we can finally put creative people together with engineer. And but the problem was that when unleashed, the experiment went crazy and created like monsters. I don't know if you understood already what I'm talking about, but I'm talking about PowerPoint. PowerPoint is a very harmful tool that can like kill dozens of people. And you don't have to be like you don't like, if you look at PowerPoint, sometimes like he has like a very cute appearance, but the subject is able to create like real monster, like this kind, because like Microsoft unleashed also like all these templates, and because of the templates we have like presentation that are like full with like incredible transition, background that seems like LSD and other things like that. And not talking about another like very important threat, which are the bullet points. Avoid excessive bullet pointing. Only bullet key points. Too many bullet points and your key message will not stand out. In fact, the term bullet points comes from people firing guns at the annoying presenter. Another very bad things that usually we see in presentation. People tend to put every word they're going to say on their PowerPoint slides. Although this eliminates the need to memorize your talk, ultimately this makes your slide clouded, wordy, and boring. You will lose your audience attention before you even reach the bottom of your first slide. And these two things together created a phenomenon that is known as death by PowerPoint. It's like a thing that is like growing. Exactly, there's already like someone that is almost feeling now and is growing. The more PowerPoint is shared, the more there are like that around the world. And it's important that you recognize the thing about it. So the first is confusion, then you have headache, depression, nausea, you vomit, and then at the end, because of you die. But like, why? I mean, this is like a joke, of course. I mean, I don't think no one never died of PowerPoint, but we ask ourselves a question: why still today, after like more than 25 years of having PowerPoint, there are presentations that are really boring and they're like really like killing their audience? We found an answer, and for the last time today, I'm gonna use a bullet point to share with you the result of our research. The first like key important thing is that nobody ever taught us how to do it. We spend a lot of time in school and we learn about mathematics, we learn about writing, but no one ever taught us how to present in public. Present in public is a new thing. So what happens is usually you enter in the world of work and you don't know how to do it. So you look to what the other people are doing. And probably they never learned. They were just copying people that were before them. But at the beginning of that like scale, there's no one that has like a real like thoughtful about how to present in public. So the first reason is that nobody ever taught us how to do it. The second reason is that if we put all the text, all the content in the presentation, we don't have to study the presentation. We can just show up, open the presentation and read what is on the screen. But if you think about it, why like people is able to read by themselves? So why do they need us to read for them? It's probably better if we like save time to everybody and we just send the presentation and we don't show up. It's really hard to have people all together in one room. So why waste the time just reading the things that everybody can read by themselves? The third reason is that we have a document that we can give at the end of the presentation if we put everything on the slides. And this is a good thing. I mean, we are not like against giving something at the end of the presentation, but something that has to be read by someone by themselves is really different from something that you can like present in public. So in order like to understand this better, we have to go back a little like to what communication means. And communication means like to make your audience able to feel your emotion, to like understand what is your values, what do you believe. And this is what we want to do today. In general, I think one thing that we can always start with is like how the brain of the people that are listening to us works. So everybody has a brain, and they are using that brain when they're like listening to you. And this brain is divided in two parts. On the left side, we have the logic, rationality, and data. Okay, so we have half of the brain of our audience that is doing this, is working through logic, rationality, and data. But the other part is emotional, irrational, and feelings. So what it's doing is like trying to process, and they want to process this kind of stuff. So if we only talk to one side of the brain, the other half of the brain is gonna go away. It's gonna like think about the summer that is coming, it's gonna think about the lunch, it's gonna like look for something visual. And so if we have to remember that we have to keep our audience, like both parts of their brain are important, and we want to engage with both of them. But the cool thing is that PowerPoint can do that, because on one side, it could be that we have us, that we can talk to the logic and rational part. And on the other side, we can use the slides to talk on the right part of the brain. So raise emotion and show them images. So if we are able to do that, PowerPoint is a very powerful instrument, tool, because basically it's like an engine that is going like in two phases, and you're able like to keep your brain audience engaged always. So the next question is, how can you build an amazing presentation? And for us, an amazing presentation is not a presentation that is like in front of like 200 people, but it's a presentation that is able to move the audience to action. There are 4 phases. The first is concept. The second is visual. So basically during the concept phase, you just like write down what you're gonna say. In the visual part is when you really work on your slides. Then the third phase is test. You have to test your presentation. And the final phase is the delivery. So when you step on the stage and you deliver your presentation. Today, we're gonna try to focus on the first 2 parts. We're gonna go through the first one for sure. The second could be that we can make it. I really hope that we can make it. Let's see if we are fast enough. Okay, so let me just check one moment with you how everybody's doing. How everybody's doing so far? 15 minutes in. Good. Can everybody can listen to us? So can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. No one is dying so far. You know, I'm like talking about that by PowerPoint, and if everybody's sleeping, I'm like failing so badly. So, okay, I hope nobody is dying. Okay, let's go. Let's go to the second part. Okay, share the screen. Okay. Okay. Wait. Okay. So I saw that some of you are like taking notes. This is really good. But at the end of the presentation, I'm gonna send you an handout with all the information of the entire slides, and also the text, the things that I'm saying. So it's not mandatory for you to take notes. If it's helpful for you to remember things, fine. But otherwise, you can just sit down and relax. It's like a proven things that people can have only 5 concepts that they can take with them at the end of a 20-minute presentation. So if we have a webinar that is 2 hours, of course, it's really hard for me to say you should like remember everything. But in this webinar today, there are 3 things that are really important. And you're gonna see them because I put like a red mark in the slide. So when you see a red mark in the slide, please be really like, look at that slide and have that concept, because like in my dream, if in 10 years from today, you're gonna remember this day together, I hope that you remember these 3 concepts. Okay, so when you see a red mark, please look at that, because this is a very important concept. And also, yeah, if you are like taking notes, you don't need them, because I'm gonna send you the handout with all the things that I'm saying and all the slides at the end of the presentation. Okay, so first, the first thing to do a good presentation is to plan your time. A presentation of 20 minutes is usually 40 hours work, so it's a lot of work. And which, I mean, you can also be better, and like you can work for the first time on the presentation and then just refine that. But it's important that you understand that, because you cannot create a presentation the night before the presentation. You need to plan in advance. It takes a lot of time. And basically, usually those 40 hours are divided like this. 1/5 is on the concept, the ideas, And usually we spend like a lot of times on the slides. We open PowerPoint and then we talk about the font, the image, the transition. So we spend a lot of time on that. The value of your presentation is not on the slide. It happened to me that I had to present at a meeting, and my computer broke the minute before like the presentation. It it fell on the ground. It was like really dramatic. But because I knew exactly what I wanted to say, I was able to make the presentation without the slides. And this was powerful as much. So remember that the value is not on the slide, but is on the thing that you're going to say. The first thing that you do when you start a presentation of a project is like try to give your project a definition. So today we're gonna see also our history as a startup, I will say. So for example, our game was called Critical City. And when we started, everybody was asking us, okay, but what is Critical City? So our answer to that question was, Critical City is a web platform for a ludic and shared urban requalification. Do you like it? Yes, sorry, Paul. So and so. But you know, I'm an architect. Augusto, my partner, is an economist, urban economist. And we thought that this was like a very good definition. And we were also talking with like public administration and like people from our fields, so architects and urbanists. So we were like, yeah, this definition is really cool. But then we had the opportunity to present in front of a venture capitalist. Basically, also in Italy, there is Shark Tank. I don't know if you know about this show. It's like a reality show for startup. And one of the judges in Shark Tank is called Dettori. And he invited us to present to his partner. So for the first time, we were able like to really talk with people that has money and were like ready to invest on us. So we had like our presentation, we were like really charged, hyped, and we started with this. Critical City is a web platform for a ludic and shared urban requalification. And this other person stops and say, what the fuck are you talking about? And we're like, oh no. So after that, the presentation went well, blah, blah, blah. We were able like to steer, but we know that we had a problem. Our definition was not working for everybody. So we decided to change the definition of our project. And after that, we worked, and Critical City is an urban transformation game. So we were not totally happy with this new definition, but the thing is that a good definition, it doesn't explain everything. It just like make your audience ask themselves the right questions. So, and the more important part of this is that Critical City is a game. So for us, it was really important to understand what was that. Because when we understood that was a game, then we understood that we have to study game design, that we understood that as game, there would have to be rules and other things in place, right? So it really changed and shaped the project, not only the presentation of the project. So with that definition, we were able like to go forward. And a good definition is like the core of your presentation. It's like where do you put like all the balance? So, you know, in project, you have like a lot of forces like all around. And you want to be like, our projects are always complicated with a lot of aspects, right? Because we want like to solve a lot of problems. But the definition is like the core, the center of like where all these forces are, okay? But so like when you fight in a sumo fight, it's really important to find the balance before attacking, right? But presenting in public is not like a sumo fight. It's more like this. So it's going from a point, which is the beginning, to an end, okay? It's from point A to point B. And in this slide, in this image, of course, the balance is really important, right? Because like if you don't know where your balance is, you're gonna fall. But there is another force that is really working here? And this is a question for the different teams. So we're gonna start now a competition, and you can write your answer on the chat. So what do you think is the force that is working here in this slide on top of the balance? Let's see who gets like the first points of today. Okay, some people is typing. Gravity, the shoes. No, I mean, yeah, of course, the shoes are important, and gravity, someone is already throwing up. Okay, nice. But like, yeah, gravity, of course, is important, but it's not like the main force here. Wind, yes, Hadir Gareb, you got it. 1 point for you and your team. Well done. Let's clap. Woohoo. Yeah, wind, the external forces. Okay, so when you are like going from A to B, there are like you have to be, your balance is really important, but also the external forces. So what are the external forces in a presentation? This is the second question. What is the wind when we are presenting? Right. The audience. Yes, really good. Okay, exactly. The audience. The audience is the external force on a presentation. So we're not by ourselves. The audience is really what is going to affect the presentation. And so ask ourselves, who is my audience is the starting point. After having the presentation, the project definition, the other question that you have to ask is, who is my audience? And asking yourself this, you're gonna have other questions like, wait a minute, why are they here? Are they here because they want to be here, or they are forced from someone else to be here? Okay, so are they paid or it's free? This question is really important because like you have very different audience if they're paying, for example. The second question that you can ask yourself is, what are their expectations? So are they like thinking, oh, I'm going to this startup competition, oh, this is boring? Or are they like really happy that they're gonna see something new and they're like psyched about it? Another question that is, what is keeping them awake at night? So like, what is like that is really important for them, right? We know what is important from us, but what is important for them? And another is, what do they like and what is annoying for them? So like, before going in front of a venture capitalist, maybe it's important to know that like word that doesn't mean anything, they're like boring for them. So you can like piss them off. And finally, the last question is, what do I want them to do at the end of my presentation? So the call to action. Why I want them to listen to me? What do I want them to do for me at the end of the presentation? So this is like a very important starting point. There is a basic idea to start from, which is basically people doesn't give a damn about you. Okay, I mean, maybe your parents are in the audience, that's good, but the rest of the audience, they don't really care about you. So if you start from that level, this is really good, because then you can build on top of it. Okay, so try to start with this level. I'm gonna share with you now a slide that it's also like a little secret of us. And basically, the first time that we were invited to a competition, it was like in 2009. And this was like the Kublai Award. So basically, we were the finalists. There were like 5 startups that were like chosen. And we really wanted like this award we really want to win that award. But there was like, so we created our presentation, but then there was one slide that was the one that was make us win. And is the slide that we never showed during the presentation. And that slide was this one. So basically, we spent 2 hours, maybe an afternoon, doing some research on the jury of the award. So we knew their names, we knew their faces, and we went online and we researched who they were, what was their area, what was their mission, what were their values and things that they love. And we did that because, I mean, we love all the audience, but those 5 people were responsible to choose the winner. So these 5 were the really important one. And what was interesting is that after doing this research, we were able to find things in our project that were important for them as well. So we were able to change our presentation in a way that has inside stuff that were important for each one of them. So during the presentation, we were able to look at them when we were saying the things that was in the presentation for them. So this is we call that the audience map. And this is an exercise that we're gonna do together today because it's really, really important. And it's before starting every concept, you have to know who is the audience. Sometimes you have multiple audience in your presentation, but every audience is different. Maybe it's some audience you don't really need to involve them too much. But the audience is really important because it's like a sacred text, okay? So we can have multiple ideas on how do we want to do the presentation, right? Oh, I like to have images. I like to have more text. I like to have this background. I like this color. And when we work in team, it's really hard to decide who really decide these things. No one decides these things. It's the audience that is deciding these things. So you have to do something that works for them, not for you. Oh, there is a question. Sometimes we don't know who the juries are. Yes, exactly. Sometimes you don't know who the juries are. That's a great question. But you know that probably are people that are older than you. Probably you know that they have some experience in the business that you are pitching. So there is always some hint that you can discover on the people that you're going to do. And doing this exercise is always important. Also, if you don't know the name and the surname of the person that is in the jury. Because for example, if I'm applying for an artist residency, I know that, for example, they're gonna be artists in there, but probably they're gonna be also people from the cultural field that are not artists. So I can do 2 audience map, one for an artist and one for a cultural people. And I will probably discover a lot of things that I didn't talk about. Okay, so we're ready for the first exercise. We are also in time, incredible. So I'm gonna stop sharing. Let me just go back to the face. Okay, so we're ready for the exercise number 1, which is write the definition of your project. So I don't know how many of you received the file. Maybe we should ask Amira. How many of you?
Well, even if they don't have it, I will share it with them right now in the chat channel.
Okay, but it's really simple. So basically, the first exercise is to write down the definition of your project. Okay, so in order to do that, there is this incredible and very complicated tool, which is a paper with my project is and some space to write. Okay, so you don't need to have the actual file. You can do that in your notebook or in your just take a paper in your phone. You can do it whatever you want. There is a limit though, which is 140 characters. Okay, and the way I want you to do that is this. Wait a minute. I want to share you one more thing. Share screen. So this was the definition of Critical City, okay? Critical City is an urban transformation game. But the more important thing was game. This was the really cool word that we found, okay? So try to put the name of your project is something, okay? For example, could be a game, an event, an online service, a festival, a software, an hardware, an app, okay? So try to start with the noun, with the thing that your project is. And then you can add other things, the goal and blah, 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 okay? So we're gonna take 3 minutes to do that. So just another thing, don't do that in group, okay? Do it by yourself. I don't want you to work in group right now. Try to work by yourself. Also, if you are like a team of like 4 people in a project, try to work by yourself and write your own definition of your project, okay? Don't share it with anybody before we finish. Okay, so I think everybody's ready. We're gonna take 3 minutes from now. I'm gonna look for some music. Wait a minute. Okay, wait. I know the song that I want. Okay, let me see what is it for. Okay, 3 minutes starting now.
I feel good. I knew that I would now. I feel good. I knew that I would now. So good, so good. I got you. I feel nice, like sugar and spice now. I feel nice, like sugar and spice now. So nice, so nice. I got you. When I hold you in my arms, I know that I can do no wrong. And when I hold you in my arms, my love won't do you no harm. 'Cause I feel nice, like sugar and spice. I feel nice, like sugar and spice now. So nice, so nice. I got you. When I hold you in my arms, I know that I can't do no wrong. And when I hold you in my arms, my love won't do you no harm. 'Cause I feel nice, like sugar and spice. I feel nice, like sugar and spice now. So nice, so nice. I got you. So nice, so nice. I got you. Ooh, so nice, so nice. I got you.
Okay, we're back. 3 minutes are over. Stop writing. Okay, so we have a lot of like definition in the chat. I think that I'm gonna read that. Maybe I'm gonna just call the person and then the person can like read their definition and then we can talk about it. So the faster was from Didi Ask, a card game. Okay, so Adir, can you, where is Adir? Adir Garheb, here. Okay,
Yes, hello.
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 Yes.
Yeah, so Amira and me are the ones behind Didi Ask, and she's in the webinar too. Didi Ask is a card game igniting meaningful conversations.
Okay, nice. Let me just open this. I'm gonna copy this definition real fast here. And then I'm gonna share the screen. Okay, so Didi Ask is a card game igniting meaningful conversation. Okay, so can you look, everybody see that, right? So definitely this is a noun, and this is really clear. This is a very good definition because like we start with what it is, and card is also like a variation. So we know that it's a card game. So probably we imagine people standing on a table and playing together, and it's not digital. And then here is really interesting because this is the goal, okay? So what is the thing that differentiate Didi Ask from some other things? So sometimes when we use a verb, it's because we want to talk about what is this game is doing, okay? So very good definition, igniting meaningful conversation. Another thing, okay, let me just go back to Zoom and see the chat. Okay, thank you very much, Didi Ask team. So let's read this other definition from the group that is managed by Ayari Taha. I hope that I'm not like destroying your name. Sorry for the pronunciation.
So hello everyone. So my project is AI mental health care. It is an intelligent tool for Alzheimer's disease prediction and dementia classification.
Okay, so this is like your noun, right? It's I think with this adjective intelligent, you mean that is AI based, right?
Yes.
So it's an artificial intelligent tool. Probably you can also write artificial intelligent tool. And yes. This is really important that you put 4 because this is again is the scope, the goal of your project, right? And what is this doing? So it's like prediction of Alzheimer's disease and classification of
dementia. Yes.
So this is I think is a very good example because sometimes we want our project to be like really fancy. We want like very like words that are really like I don't know, like interesting and etc. But a good definition is really, or not boring, but is really plain. Okay, is neutral. My example is always like that. If you're able to go to your maybe grandma and explain your project with a definition that she understands, and you get food out of that, then it means that your definition is working. If she's like, I don't understand what you're doing, but I'm gonna give you food anyway, then you're not really working with a good definition. Okay, so if you're able like to find a person that is like 1 or 2 generations older than you, and you share your like definition and they understand that, then this is a very good definition. Okay, Yayafa, I think we read it also like the last time, probably. So I'm gonna go for another definition. I mean, all these definitions are really, really good because like they're really like to the point. And hydrocar, nice. I'm gonna read some of them, okay? So, his identity is an app guide for new residents in Tunisia. Why is this like, this works perfectly for another example. Okay, so I think this is the name of the, project. What is that? It's an app guide. So it's something that on the phone, I don't know exactly what a guide is, maybe, but yeah, I can understand what is that. And is for new resident in Tunisia. So I don't know, for example, in this definition, I don't know what's the goal, but I know the audience. Okay, I know not the audience, like the target, the public. Okay, so I know who are the clients that I'm targeting. Okay, so this is another thing that you can add in your definition. The first thing could be the goal, and the second is the clients. So for example, here in this definition, which is AI mental health care, if I want to add the clients / the audience, maybe I will say that is for, of course, correct me if I'm wrong, but I will say that this
For neurologist.
Sorry?
For neurologist.
Neurologist.
Yes.
Okay. For neurologist, where? Which kind of neurologist? Where do you imagine them to be? Like global, or like you have like a specific area?
Global.
Global. Okay.
Yes.
So neurologists all over the world. Okay. So these are like, this is another example, and you can add like these two things in every definition. Okay. So for example, there is also this, spell it. This is also a very good example of the audience, right? Let me just make it bigger. Spell it is a game that helps dyslexic children. Here is both the goal and the audience, right? So, yeah. So, yeah, I think that gluten-free flour. Your voice is kind of lower than usual. I'm sorry. We can barely hear you. Oh no. Oh no. Can you hear me?
Yes, but it's slower than usual, I guess.
Ouch. I think because I was a little further from the screen. Okay. I think we could like stop this exercise. Of course, your presentation is not like, your definition is gonna change through times. You're gonna like have like different revision, but it's like the first step of it. Okay, let's move forward to the second exercise. Okay. Okay, so exercise number 2 is create your audience map. Okay. This, I think it's good if we are able to share it with everybody, or maybe you can take a picture of the next slide. If you don't have this file, just take a picture of the screen so you can work on it. This is the audience map. So basically this is this is like a form that you can fill in order to understand who's your audience. So there are different questions. The first is like describe them physically, the age, other demographic infos. But then the real question are, what do they like, what they didn't? What is their problem? Okay, so it's not about our problem, it's about their problem. How can I solve it? How is their daily routine? What is the biggest bias that they have about the things that I'm talking about? And why are they here and there is something that they want? And finally is what I want them to do at the end of my presentation, okay? So you have to be able to answer all of these questions. And if you don't know who your audience is, just try to imagine someone, okay? So this is a longer exercise and we can do that in team. So if you are with your project team, you can do that together. I'm gonna leave this on the screen so you can answer this question. And for this exercise, we're gonna take 10 minutes, okay? So actually, we're gonna take 7 minutes, okay? So you can start now. Wait a minute, sorry. I just wanted to put the music, but I'm not gonna be able to.
closet, leader, watch the needle. I said one more time, hold to get it. Now look up higher and see it's not as hard as you think it will be. I took live, agree now it's alright, it's alright with me. I'm right here, let's go find us. I'm on the hill, that shit's timeless. You're up on the hill, man. Yes. You're up on the hill, up on the hill, up on the hill.
Three more minutes. You don't think that you can repeat to those questions if only you have done your presentation once at last? Sorry, Abby. Wait a minute. Okay, let me just stop sharing this. Okay, so we're back. So there is a question. You don't think that you can repeat to this question if only you have done your no, actually, no, I don't think that. I think that you can answer this question beforehand. You can answer this question before presenting, because also if you don't exactly know who your audience is, there is like, it's really important that you try to put yourself in the mind of the people that are gonna listen to you. So this is a really important exercise anyway. And if you are able to do that before starting the slides, is really good, because then you can take decision based on that. So yeah, of course, you have to think about a specific moment. So it's not like an exercise that you can do in general. It's an exercise that you will do when you know that you are going to present. It's not that in the morning, oh, I'm gonna do an audience map. No, of course, you're gonna do a presentation, you know the date of the presentation, you know the place, and you also know that some people is gonna be there. So ask yourself who these people are, and all the other question is the way to, is like an exercise that is really be important. Yeah, and it could also describing certain customer for sure. You down the line, down your project, you're gonna need to present your project to your customers as well and convince them that it's valuable. So yeah, this is really interesting as an exercise in general. Okay, so it's 1 hour that we're together. So we're gonna take a break. Oh wow, is this chips? What is that? So we're gonna take a break of 7 minutes. So right now it's 6 p.m. I think in Tunisia. So we're gonna see yourself in 7 minutes, okay? So go out, breathe some fresh air, eat something, not too much. I don't want you to be sleepy, and see you in 7 minutes. I'm gonna also eat a pizza. I'm joking. See you like in 7 minutes, okay? I'm gonna put some music also. And then we're gonna talk about this exercise. Where is my phone?
pieces under my skin, and I sleep just fine on my melatonin. You're not here, I don't care. You're not here, and I can't make you be. There's a honeybee lodged deep in my ear, and it's reminding me, but I don't wanna hear. You're not up, I don't care. You're not up, it wasn't meant to be. Ooh, will you even remember who I was before the audience? Ooh, what I was thinking when I still couldn't tell you. So I've located all the nearest escapes, and I'm hoping that this way wasn't break. Almost there, I don't care. Almost there, that's what they're telling me. Will you even remember who I was before the audience? Know what I was thinking when I still couldn't tell you. So my back will twitch like a dissected fly. Do you tell me why I've been climbing so high? You were here when you were, it was me. Why couldn't we just be? But I still couldn't tell you. It's true. Do you even remember who I was before the audience? Knew what I was thinking, and I still couldn't tell you. I'm walking around in a haze, and I'm feeling you're falling away from me. Wish there was something to say, but I said it. I'm sorry, I hate how it is. Can you overlook? Can I overlook? 'Cause I'm walking around in the haze, and I'm feeling you're falling away from me. Wish there was something to say, but you said it. It's over, it is what it is. Can you understand? I don't understand. 'Cause
Okay, we're back. Is everybody's back? Sort of. Okay. Welcome back. So you just met Ginger, which is my assistant. It's very important to have an assistant. I saw that there are like also other people taking webinars. That's really nice. So we have a back and forth from the same place. That's amazing. So we have some Angry Birds. Hello, Angry Birds. Okay. They're talking also. No, they're
Yes,
just
of course.
watching the webinar.
We have Mr. Farid, Mr. Shetty, and Mr. Green.
Nice. Welcome. And we have Orange. I hope that you had some digestive. I saw a lot of people eating a lot. So, okay, let's go. Let's come back. What we're gonna do now is I'm gonna maybe, who want to volunteers to share their audience map? It's gonna be really fast. So if you want to volunteer, just turn on your, I can do it. Okay, so Adir, where are you? Let me just, okay, I'm gonna unmute you. I cannot, okay.
I unmuted myself.
So I'm gonna ask you the questions so we can be a little faster. So basically, you're gonna present. Do you already know the moment where you're going to present?
I don't understand. Like what moment?
Like when and what is the contest? Like what is the room? Who are the people in front of you?
Okay, cool. So tomorrow I have actually it's an opportunity. If I pass through it, I can be incubated and I got a lot of money. So it's for tomorrow.
Okay, so okay, so you gotta work a lot today. Nice.
Yes.
So what is that they like and what do they don't like?
Okay, so I'm thinking about a certain customer we had, or like he already have the game and he playing, like he use it. So what he likes and what he doesn't like, right? This is the question. Mm-hmm. Okay, so he likes to go eating outside. He likes movie night, game nights. He likes to have those kind of gathering monthly. He likes to travel. He hates long commuting to work. Okay. He hates busy schedules. He hates small talks. What else?
Okay. What is his problem, and how you gonna solve it?
So I know that he hates small talks. Okay. He doesn't have this ability to initiate deep conversation with anybody. So that's why he usually invites people to go eating outside or watching a movie, something so they skip the talking part. But he's not satisfied with this. So this is the problem. He needs some tool to help him creating conversations, but like in an easy way. Not,
And what is the biggest bias that he has about the thing that you're talking about your card game?
Yeah, he's a person that already initiating small games. So whenever you see him, he has a lot of small games with him. So that's why he always goes to the game solution, like any game. Okay.
And what do you want him to do at the end of your presentation?
I want him to be like, to prove that anybody can initiate meaningful conversations through the game, whatever skills they have, whatever mood or kind of personality they have.
Nice. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well done. And I mean, we just spent 7 minutes on doing this exercise. 7 minutes. So imagine if you decide to spend half an hour, okay? Look at your audience map. There's a lot of information in there already. So, and we spent 7 minutes on it. So this is an exercise that can take 1 day of your work, half an hour, 2 hours, but you're gonna discover a lot of things. Okay, so we're gonna move forward because I don't think we're gonna be able to do everything, but we're gonna try. Let me just say that the next part of the day is gonna be all theory. So there's not gonna be more exercise, but we're gonna look at the different exercise. So basically we're gonna like look through them, so you will be able to do them by yourself, okay? But there's not gonna be any more moment of like communal sharing and exercise. Sorry about it. Okay. 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 Okay, let me just, nice. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so basically right now we have the project definition, which is our internal balance, and then we have the audience map. So basically we have all the forces that are defining our presentation, okay? The internal force and the external one. But how do we create a meaningful and a great presentation? So the first part is, of course, research. So we suggest you like to have with you all the material that are concerning your presentation and at hand, okay? The second thing, and in this phase is really, really important that you have first paper and then PowerPoint. So we are still in the area where we are thinking about concept. And if you open PowerPoint now, we are done because you're gonna spend so many time on fonts and images, and no, don't open PowerPoint. Right now we focus on paper. The first part of creating a presentation is all on paper, or if you want on digital software, but it's not on PowerPoint, okay? The second thing that you have to do is like do a concept map. A concept map is like simply a white sheet of paper where you write down all the concept of your presentation. You have to be, you can write whatever you want. It doesn't have to be like really specific, just like write everything. Few things that you should have in your concept map. The first one is the big idea. So what is that is making your project different from other projects? What is the big idea, the big change that is inside your project? So you want to have this in the concept map for sure. So you have to write them inside. And the second, there is a team that seems to have some problem. If you have some problem, please write on the chat, okay? The second thing is a vision, how to change the world. So try to ask yourself how my project will change the world. Of course, maybe you're not gonna change all the world or the planet, but try to see if there is a place and a change that you want to bring to the world. And it's really important that you don't just say that. You don't have like just to say, oh, I'm gonna change the world because my game will transform the cities. No, try to create a picture of the world after the change. So for example, in Critical City, we were like sharing images of people already doing interesting stuff in the city. So try to help your audience visualize what is the change that is gonna happen after your project is real. Because if you're able to bring them there in the future, and what is in between is the help that you're asking them, then they're gonna be really happy to help you to reach that vision. Then you have to select, of course, every concept map is not a final place. You have like to delete stuff, put stuff together, and you're gonna select the things, and then it's time to create a structure, because like a concept map, it's still a thing that is like in 2 dimensions, but we said that we want a presentation is going from A to B. So it's like a line. So we have from the concept map, we have to go down to a line. And in order to do that, we're gonna use a structure, okay? A structure, so we're gonna have a sequence of things that we're gonna say. The structure that we're gonna talk today is a very basic structure. Is made of 5 phases, and is this, okay? So there is a opening, a issue, a solution, benefits, and an ending. So there are 5 chapters: opening, issue or problem, solution, benefits, and endings. Usually in our presentation, there is one chapter that is always there. What is that one? What is one chapter that is always present in any presentation? The issue, not always. No, the issue, not always. The solution is always there. The solution is always there because it's our project. So we're gonna talk about our project for sure. So the solution is usually the part that is always present because it's our project. But opening and ending sometimes are chapters that we don't take care a lot of, and they are really, really important. The opening is really important because it's when everybody is excited. They don't know us. They don't know anything about our project, and they're really like ready to listen. Okay, so the opening moment is really important. And if you see a presentation that starts with, "Oh, my name is Matteo Uguzzoni, and today we're gonna talk about these things," it's like the spoiler of a TV series. You don't want to know the end of the show. You want just like to go right into it. So like, for example, for me today was a little like tricky, but my presentation started with the story, an horror story about PowerPoint. This was the opening. And the ending is also really important, and sometimes we don't think about it too much. But the ending is where we are gonna put the call to action. So if you look at the audience map, there is the question right at the end, which is what I want them to do at the end of my presentation. If you answer that question, you put this question in the ending. So this is the point B of your presentation. This is the ending of your presentation. But the most important chapter of all in the presentation is the problem. The problem is like a hook that holds the entire presentation. So if the problem is a problem that is really important for your audience, they're gonna listen to you forever. Yeah, Ayari Taha, please ask the question. Sure, go ahead. Yeah, I'm gonna read it and then answer that. So the problem is like the most important chapter. And sometimes we don't spend a lot of time in the problem because we think, oh, we're gonna just talk, we're excited about our project, so we want to talk about all the part of our project. But if you're able to spend a lot of time in the problem, then your audience is gonna really listen to you, especially if your problem is their problem. So right now, we're gonna try to, I don't know. So there are a few examples that I want to watch with you. But this is basically, take a picture of this. This is the structure of the basics, the traditional structure. In the opening, can I talk technical words about the project? Okay, this is a very good question. It depends a lot on the audience that you have in front of you. So for example, I think behind this question and the use of technical words, there is the fact that sometimes we want to show that we know what we're talking about. Okay, so we use technical words usually to showcase that we know our things. And sometimes you want to talk that in advance because you feel that you're a little intimidated by your audience. And you think that they don't trust you too much. So I will say that the opening is always better to start right on a story or how the idea came or how the problem arrived to you. because like people love to listen to stories. So it's always better to start with a story. Yeah, can you explain benefits, please? Sure. So benefits are the things that your project is doing better than others. Or like if we have a problem, we're gonna use our project as a solution. And then we're gonna say, yeah, of course, our project is the best because it does this, this, and this, okay? So the benefits are usually something that put yourself in a different position from your competitors, for example. We're gonna now look at an example. The opening must be a hook. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the image of the hook is for the problem is just because it holds everything. But yeah, you can, I don't think that you'd have to show credibility at the beginning. I think that it's important to have your audience listening to you at the beginning. You're gonna show credibility through the presentation, not at the beginning. So I will suggest you to start always with a story or something that is interesting for them before going into the technical aspect of your project. I want to share with you now an example of a structure that is really famous and I think is really useful. And I'm gonna also try to write the structure. So we're gonna see it at the same. I don't know if I can like have can I have multiple share? No. Let me just do this real quick. I'm gonna just check if you can see the thing. Okay. And then I'm gonna share with you a video, okay? And while I'm sharing the video, I'm gonna highlight for you the structure of this presentation, okay? I think it's important to spend some time here and maybe we're gonna lose something at the end, but this is a very important example and it's really useful to understand and also answer some of the questions that you were asking in the chat. So I'm gonna do that. Let me just share this first. Okay. Just let me know if you also see myself writing on the wall. If I write here, can you see that?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, nice. Okay, so we're gonna look at a simple structure, which is a very famous presentation. The iPhone presentation of 2007.
This is a day
Can you hear?
I've been looking forward to for 2.5 years.
Yes.
Every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything. And Apple has been, well, first of all, one's very fortunate if you get to work on just one of these in your career. Apple's
So
been
opening
very fortunate.
revolutionary product.
It's been able to introduce a few of these into the world. 1984, we introduced the Macintosh. It didn't just change Apple, it changed the whole computer industry. In 2001, we introduced the first iPod. And it didn't just change the way we all listen to music. It changed the entire music industry. Well, today, we're introducing 3 revolutionary products of this class. The first one is a widescreen iPod with touch controls. The second is a revolutionary molded. And the third is a breakthrough internet communications device. So, 3 things: a widescreen iPod with touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communications device. An iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. An iPod, a phone. Are you getting it? These are not 3 separate devices. This is one device. And we are calling it iPhone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone. And here it is.
So this is the end of the opening.
No.
This is the end of the opening. Now it got into the problem, okay?
So, before we get into it, let me talk about a category of things. The most advanced phones are called smartphones, so they say. And they typically combine a phone plus some email capability, plus they say it's the internet, sort of the baby internet in the one device, and they all have these plastic little keyboards on them. And the problem is that they're not so smart and they're not so easy to use. So if you kind of make a business school 101 graph with a smart axis and the easy to use axis, phones, regular cell phones are kind of right there. They're not so smart and they're not so easy to use. But smartphones are definitely a little smarter, but they actually are harder to use. They're really complicated. Just for the basic stuff, people have a hard time figuring out how to use them. Well, we don't want to do either one of these things. What we want to do is make a leapfrog product that is way smarter than any mobile device has ever been and super easy to use. This is what iPhone is, okay? So we're going to reinvent the phone. Now, we're going to start with a revolutionary user interface.
So what it's doing now is that it's opening a lot of chapters for the different things. So again, it's going to use the same structure.
Now, why do we need a revolutionary user interface? I mean, here's 4 smartphones, right? Motorola Q, the BlackBerry, Palm Treo, Nokia E62, the usual suspects. And what's wrong with their user interface? Well, the problem with them is really sort of in the bottom 40 there. It's this stuff right here. They all have these keyboards that are there whether you need them or not to be there. And they all have these control buttons that are fixed in plastic and are the same for every application. Well, every application wants a slightly different user interface, a slightly optimized set of buttons just for it. And what happens if you think of a great idea 6 months from now? You can't run around and add a button to these things. They're already shipped. So what do? It doesn't work because the buttons and the controls can't change. They can't change for each application, and they can't change down the road if you think of another great idea you want to add to this product.
Solution.
Well, how do you solve this? It turns out we have solved it. We solved it in computers 20 years ago. We solved it with a bitmap screen that could display anything we want, put any user interface up, and a pointing device. We solved it with the mouse, right? We solved this problem. So how are we going to take this to a mobile device? What we're going to do is get rid of all these buttons and just make a giant screen. A giant screen. Now, how are we going to communicate this? We don't want to carry around a mouse, right? So what are we going to do? Oh, a stylus, right? We're going to use a stylus. No. Who wants a stylus? You have to get them and put them away and you lose them. Yuck. Nobody wants a stylus. So let's not use a stylus. We're going to use the best pointing device in the world. We're going to use a pointing device that we're all born with. We're born with 10 of them. We're going to use our fingers. We're going to touch this with our fingers. And we have invented a new technology called multi-touch, which is phenomenal. It works like magic.
Benefits.
You don't need a stylus. It's far more accurate than any touch display that's ever been shipped. It ignores unintended touches. It's super smart. You can do multi-finger gestures on it. And boy, have we patented it. So
And now there
we've
is
been
the
very
ending.
lucky to have brought a few revolutionary user interfaces to the market in our time. First was the mouse. The second was the click wheel. And now we're going to bring multi-touch to the market. And each of these revolutionary user interfaces has made possible a revolutionary product. The Mac, the iPod, and now the iPhone. So, a revolutionary user interface. We're going to build on top of that with software.
Okay. Let me just show you better the structure. Okay, can you see? Yes. It's like, do you see it right or is it the opposite? Oh, damn. I hope that is in the right.
You can see it.
Okay, it is okay. Okay, so basically, did you see, like, I think it's really interesting how much time he spent on the problem. Especially in the user interface problem. There was a slide when he's like basically deleting the top of the phone and it just leaves like the button. And then he says the button and control can change. Cannot change now, cannot change 6 months from now. So if you think about it, this is a problem that the audience is already feeling. It's not like his problem. It's the problem of the audience because probably every day they have like hard time pushing those buttons. And so he spent a lot of time staying on that. He can also like, I mean, one thing that he could do was like just jumping on the solution, right? Just saying, we invented multi-touch, we're the best. But no, he wanted his audience to feel the pain of the problem, to feel that those buttons are horrible. And then when he deletes this button and he make a giant screen, everybody's clapping. It's because they are feeling the problem on themselves. And another thing that is really, really interesting is the way that he gives us the solution. Instead of saying, oh yeah, well done, we invented the multi-touch, he said, how do we solve this problem? And he said, we already solved it 20 years ago. We solved it with a bitmap screen and a pointing device. So why is that? Why is he doing this? He's doing this because he wants his audience to understand that this is something that they already know, that they are smart, that they are like together. So if like you have a project, for example, that is like really innovative, but could be like that your audience has a hard time to understand that. But if you're able like to give your audience the solution through solutions that are already in place, they're gonna understand way better. So be respectful for your audience. Okay, let's go back. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. So you saw that the structure was really, really also like he spent a lot of time on the oh, there was a question on the thing. Okay, yes, we're here. Can you share with us your board? Yes, my board. Yeah, I'm gonna take a picture and I'm gonna send it to you, okay? So one thing is that before convincing me of your solution, you should convince me that you understood my problem. So as an audience, I want to be sure that you understand me. I don't want to listen to someone else telling me about how they are good and they invented like the best project ever. I want to listen to people that can solve my problem. And this is because you have to work on my problem, the audience problem, not yours. So if I come to you and I say, oh, you know what? I just invented something to solve my issues with, I don't know, my computer or my bike, you don't care. But if I come to you and I say, I have a solution for the problem that you have every morning, then I'm gonna listen to you. There are other structure, of course. This one is the easiest one, is like the 5 chapter. This one is the structure of a pitch, okay? So usually if you have a startup, this one is like the pitch structure. And you can take a picture of that. As you can see, there are like 10 chapters, and some of them are the same. So for example, let me try this new thing. So for example, cover, issue, solution, the magic recipe are the benefits, and what do you need is the call to action. So these 5 chapters are the same of the traditional structure. Okay, here's a question. Pitch deck presentation, exactly. But there are other questions that are like, okay, stop annotating. There are other questions that are like very important for venture capitalists, for example, which is your business model and the competitors, your team. What is the timeline that you're expecting to do stuff that you're promising? And also another one is how you will find your user. So is the go-to-market strategy, okay? But the core structure is the same of the traditional presentation. So it's always like opening, problem, solution, and advantages. And then there are like other chapters that are specific for venture capitalists. So if you work in the first structure, then you can add other chapter, and then you can have your pitch. So let me cancel everything. Okay, clear John. Okay, so this is like a 10 chapter structure. Now, there are various examples that I'm gonna send to you, so you can look at them individually after the webinar, and you can try to find the different chapter in those presentations, okay? But now we're gonna skip that and we're gonna move to the next part. Okay, so yeah. This is now the time, after you have your audience map and your definition, is the time to create your concept map. A concept map is like a white sheet of paper where you write down all the concepts that you have. And after that, you fill your structure. So basically, you have like these 5 chapters, and you have to write down all the concepts in every chapter. And in this case, I suggest you always to start with the problem. Never, this is like the hook, we said, the things that are, it is really like all the presentation is on the problem. So try to work first on the problem and then move on to the solution and to the other chapters. If you have a very good problem, a very good solution, then everything will work. You're gonna change the opening and the ending every time based on the audience. But if you have a core of problem solution that is really well written, then you are done. You're really well set up. Okay, so this is another question for you, which is between all this software, there is one software that is the most important one for a presentation. I don't know if you know them. This one is Photoshop. It's you use that to change images. This one is Illustrator. You can use that to make illustration. This one is Dropbox. You share files with that. This is Google Chrome. You can use it to navigate on the web. This is Keynote, which is PowerPoint for Mac. This is Excel. This is Word. This is PowerPoint, and this is Skype. What is the most important software between these to create a very powerful presentation? Okay, you can write. Okay, so we have Musa Muammar that said Google Chrome, PowerPoint, Illustrator, Chrome. More. Who wants to try? Word. Abby said Word. Who else? I'm gonna wait for 5 more. Let's see if someone got it. PowerPoint, 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 Chrome, PowerPoint, PowerPoint plus Chrome. All. Yeah, thank you. All of them. Word, Chrome and Word. Okay, PowerPoint. Okay, stop. And the most important one is Word. Word is the most important software of all, okay? Why? Because it's in Word that we're gonna write down all the things that we're gonna say. And the things that we're gonna say, our message, is the most important part of our presentation, okay? So this is the most important software ever. If you show up to the presentation, your computer breaks, the projector doesn't work, but you know exactly what you're gonna say, you're gonna kill it. You're gonna make it, okay? So Word is perfect. Google Docs as well. Yeah, of course. So basically, before opening PowerPoint, you're gonna write down the entire speech, all the words that you're gonna say, one after the other. This is like the most important part of the of presenting in public space, presenting of your project. And the cool thing is that we know how to write, because at school they teach us how to write a lot. So we know how to move text, how to create like meaningful sentences. We know how to do this work. So it's really important that we do that beforehand, before even start working on PowerPoint. There are 5 core messages that should like be very important at the end of the presentation. And we talked about this already. The first one is, what is the real problem? Okay, so focus on the problem. The second is that your solution is amazing, but we know that your solution is amazing because you are amazing. The third one is that you have to prove, and I think we are go back now to the question that was before in the chat, right? How can we say that we are credible? Here is what you have to add in your text. You have to say that you are the best to create this, and I can prove it because we already did this project and this and this. And so we already did a lot of stuff, and here they are. And then it's, we need your help to go further. You have to ask for help in order to have a call to action that really works. If I listen to you and I don't feel like that I can help you, I'm gonna leave the door and I'm not gonna do anything. But you have to, in the last chapter, the ending chapter, you have to ask something to your audience, always. You have always to ask something to your audience. There is like a question, I would say, in the chat, which is numbers and statistics also. Yes, number and statistics, they go in the problem, okay? We use that, this is part of make the problem real. Okay, we use problem and number and statistic to show that the problem is real. So if you have some of them, put them in the problem chapter. Okay, take picture of this because I'm gonna move further. So after doing the structure, the next step is write your speech. So if you have, like, for example, this structure, then you have to move to the speech writing, and you just can do that in Word, Google Docs, or whatever you want. Just have the 5 chapter first, and then you fill out the different things. And I suggest you to write down every single word that you're gonna say, okay? Imagine that is exactly the speech that you're gonna say. Don't use bullet point, just write all the words. In general, one rule is that we usually say 120 words per minute, okay? So if you're a very famous TV presenter, you can be faster. Today, I'm really faster than that. But usually, if you're presenting, you're gonna say 120 words per minute. So if you have a pitch that is like 7 minutes, it means that is 840 words. It's basically 1 page. So it's not a lot of work. You can really spend some time on that. And this is basically the end of the first phase, the concept phase. So after you write your speech, you're basically done with the first part, and you are like able to present your idea without the slides. And you can spend a lot of time refining your speech because it's really important. And you want to have your speech at the top, and you want to learn it. And another thing that is really interesting is that if you write down your speech, you can read it and you can check if you're in time. Because sometimes when there are competition, you have like 5 minutes, 3 minutes, and you cannot like go over that. If you have your speech, you can read it and then you can time it. And if it's too long, you can cut parts that are not that important. Okay. Okay, here's the thing. We have 12 minutes left. So it's not a lot. I'm gonna try to, so basically we already did all the steps to arrive to have the presentation, the most important part of the presentation. If you remember, this is 80% of the value of your presentation is your speech, okay? And then you open PowerPoint and you start with your slides. So I'm gonna just share with you a quick part on how to create slides that works. But I'm gonna skip a lot of the content, okay? So just let me pull this on. Okay, storyboard. Okay, so basically inside every slide, you have to put a maximum of one concept, okay? Because slides are small. There's not a lot of things that you can put in one slide. And also slide doesn't cost. They are free. You can have as many you want. So use them. The only thing that you have to take care of is the time limit, okay? So if you're really fast and you have a lot of slides, no one cares. The most important thing is that you stay in time. And slides are small, which means that one slide, one concept. So if you have like 50 concepts, you're gonna need 50 slides. But this is the rule, one slide, one concept. If you have 4 concepts, you need 4 slides. How does a good slide look like? A good slide is simple. Why is that? Because do you remember at the beginning of the class when we talked about the brain? The brain is divided in 2 parts, right? One part is listening to us. The other part is looking at the slides. But you don't want your audience to get lost in the slide. You want them to look at the slide and then come back to you immediately because you are the one delivering the message. So you don't want them like to look around. For example, look at that slide. This one, your audience is gonna go crazy to understand what this slide means. And why is that? Because we are curious animals. We like to understand stuff, but this is very messy. So a slide has to be super simple. So they can look at that and then come back to us, okay? There are very different ways to make a slide. I'm gonna skip that. Okay, I'm gonna just jump on this one. So these are like, wow, this red is really red. These are like few like suggestions to things to avoid when you're creating slides. The first one is no templates. Don't use templates. Templates are just stealing space in your slide from your content. So no templates at all. Just start with the white slides and that's it. The second thing is no logo. No logo in the bottom, no logo in the top, no logo never. You can have the logo at the beginning and at the end. What is happening if you put the logo always in the same position? Is called like, is like a phenomenon that is also like present in when you do the research in Google, for example, is like blind spot. So basically, if our brains see something that never changed, we are not looking at that area anymore. So if the logo is always present and always in the same space, what is gonna happen is that our audience is not gonna look at that area anymore. So you're basically reducing the space of your slide because of the logo. So what we do usually is we put the logo at the beginning and then we put the logo at the end, and that's it. No transition. So no special effects between one slide and the other. Except your audience is a Star Wars fan, you don't need transition, okay? The eyes, usually we change what we look at, blinking, and this is a very fast transition, so you don't need transition. And finally, no bullets, no bullet point. Actually, I don't know if you noticed, but this is a slide with 4 bullet points because there is no templates, no logo, no transition, and no bullets. You can see that here, right? So these are 4 bullet points, but these are 4 bullet points. But what I did was like showing you 1 point each time, okay? So never have the same thing in the same slides because you don't want your audience to spoil and so read in advance, and you don't want them to be confused. So no bullet points. Wait a minute, erase everything, clear drawing, close. Okay. Some tips: use images that are using the entire screen, and also images that reinforce your concept, okay? So for example, in that slide before, I showed you like an image of a person or an elephant in a car. And what happened was that everybody was like, whoa, what is the meaning of this slide? Why are we looking at an elephant in a truck? And this is a way to like raise your attention, right? So you are in a position of asking yourself, what is that? Then what is happening is that I said 1 slide, 1 concept. And these 2 things clicked in your brain. So right now, you're gonna have the image of the elephant in the truck with you forever. And I was able like to connect with these images a concept. Because the thing is that as human, we remember visually. We don't remember text. We remember images. So if we're able like to connect something with images, we're gonna be able to scroll between images and find the concept. Think about how hard it is to remember poetry. It's crazy, it's super hard because this is text. But if we're able like to have poetry that have images, then we remember stuff. So this is really important. Always use images that reinforce your concept. Where to find images? There's a lot of places online so far. We always use Flickr or other images. It's really important that you check that the images are free to use and Creative Commons. Also, the slide is 1024 for 76.8 pixel. So check that the image is the right size before using it. For example, this image doesn't work because it's too small, but then you can find something that works. And another thing that you should avoid always is cliché. So using this image to explain the concept of the goal, or using this image to growth, or this image for the next steps, or this image for idea, or this image for partnership. Why we don't want to use these images? Because these images are not interesting for our audience. They are not on their chair when they see 2 hands shaking. This means, of course, this means partnership. So there's nothing interesting for me there. So try to look at different concepts that talks about the same concept. For example, these are a good image to talk about partnership. This is also another very good image that use the same concept, okay? Try to look at your audience map and what do they like, and then try to find images that works for them. Okay, I think our time is basically over. So what we're gonna do now is that we're gonna go down until here. Okay, so in the last 5 minutes, again, I'm gonna send to you all the materials, all the handout, all the exercise. So you're gonna be able to do the entire process by yourself, I hope. I want just to go through the red marks again And maybe you could also like write on the chat which are the one that you remember. So there were like 4 red marks today that we saw together. Who remembers what? Do you remember some of them? Write them on the chat. Who is my audience? Simple slides. What else? No logo? No, this is not audience map. Okay, yes, the first is who's my audience? Okay, who's my audience is the first and most important question. But from this question, we have other question, which is why are they here? What keeps them awake at night? What is their problem? What do I want them to do at the end of your presentation? So this is the first. The second is, first, we're gonna use the paper and then we're gonna use PowerPoint. 80% of the value of our presentation is in the things that we're gonna say, not in the slides. The third one is, a good slide is a simple slide. So the simpler, the better. Why? Because we want the audience to look at us. We want the audience to come back to us, not get lost in the slides. And the fourth one is, the fourth one is, we just saw it. I'm gonna show it to you again. Use images that reinforce your point. So you want them to ask themselves why there is a truck and an elephant. And then you want to connect this with a concept so they can remember this forever. And I really think that you're gonna remember this truck with the elephant for a lot of time because we talked about that a lot. Okay, we're back here. So this was basically it. I'm gonna share in the next week, I'm gonna share like an handout, which is basically all the concepts that we talked about and some text, the things that I was like saying is not the slides of this presentation. It's more like a text so you can read and you can like remember the things that we were talking about. I'm gonna also share all the exercise so you can create your presentation. We went through all the exercise together, and I'm gonna also share the structure of the analysis and the links for other pitch and videos that you can try to analyze in order like to understand how it works. So yeah, I will just, thank you all. If you want, like you can unmute you and just like make a giant hello to my Ginger so I can finally hear also your voice. And then we're gonna see each other soon on the platform. Thank you again. Have a good day. Say hello to the Mediterranean. I'm missing him.
Okay.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.